Good afternoon. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Special guest is Miami-Dade County Commissioner Roberto Gonzalez. Commissioner, thank you for joining us.
Mike, it's always a pleasure being on your show, man.
All right. So we have the biggest talk in town is the budget for Miami-Dade County.
Yes, it's a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah. It's reported.
The mayor's budget.
Yeah, the mayor's budget.
Yes.
Reported $420 million deficit.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And what we hear all the time is, I'm going to have to pay to get in Tropical Park or
Unacceptable.
Barnes Park. A $25 million cutback for the public works. A lot of the charities got axed out of there. The cultural affairs got axed $12 million. And we work with a lot of charities, and I feel their pain and the sudden painness of it. And I don't know how much private industry and business can help the people, but I see their pain. So one of the things that we hope for, as we discuss this, is figuring out how to raise more money, cut expenses, all right, and help the people in Miami-Dade County that need it the most. Because at the end of the day, when they're out on the street, all right, we're taking care of them anyway.
Yeah, and I think that, it's just a lack of leadership, to be honest with you, Mike. What we need to do in Miami-Dade County is we need to concentrate on necessities. And I think it's embarrassing when you have a $400 million deficit when the county is receiving more money than they've ever received in the history of Miami-Dade County.
Tell people why that is.
Because the property taxes have increased. The property prices have increased. Property taxes are through the roof. I want to say it's about a 40% increase that we're seeing. That's exactly why Doge is here. Because if you have a $12.7 billion with a B dollar budget, and you can't balance it, because you're missing money, that's a mismanagement of funds. And then, it sucks because the mayor will not take responsibility. The mayor will say, well, you know what? It's Donald Trump's fault, or it's Ron DeSantis' fault, or this is being political. When in reality, let's look at something else. Let's look at, for example, Section 8. Did you know that we're currently at a Section 8 freeze in Miami-Dade County? We're in a freeze. You can't give vouchers. There's folks that are relying on Section 8 housing that can get Section 8 housing right now because this mayor's administration has mismanaged the Section 8 vouchers. And then, when I come out and I say that, the mayor says that I'm being political, when in reality, the first time that Miami-Dade County finds out that they are at risk of running a deficit with Section 8 is during the Biden administration last year. Mike, ask me if the administration told the commission, please.
Did the administration?
Sir, they did not.
Didn't tell on which side, on the Section 8 or on all these other things?
On everything, sir. On the Section 8, we found out about the deficit when the mayor announced that there was a deficit. And so this is why a lot of these things are touchy subjects, right? FIFA's a touchy subject.
Well, let's talk about that. So there are a couple of commissioners that have been very public about it. Don't give them the money. Put it back into the budget. Let's spend it on things that are more important. So we've heard, without regard that we applied for it at least once, maybe twice, and we know that there was a tremendous return on that as far as money coming back. What's your position on one of the or more of the commissioners wanting to renege on the deal they made?
It's in the same position that I've had from the beginning, right? Do not use taxpayer funds to pay for a game, right? There's something called the CDT tax. We could have used the CDT tax. It's something that you can only use for tourism. If you're going to use that, maybe, right? Maybe. But when you have a $400 million deficit, you definitely do not use that money for a soccer game. You have to use it for their necessities. And so, Mike, that's exactly why I've been advocating for, 1, a zero-based budget, and 2, line items. Because, the crux of this conversation and how we're going to get to the bottom of fixing this problem is by, 1, the mayor needs to take responsibility, but 2, we need to look at how the money is being managed. Let me give you an example, because this is what the mayor is currently doing. Let's say that, your son goes to college. Your son goes out to college and he gets accepted to Boston University. He's in Boston University first year. You give him $5,000 a month, and you give him the $5,000 so that he can pay tuition, he can pay for his food, and so he can pay for his dorm, right? And so he can have some fun too. A year goes by, Mike. After the year goes by, the next year, your son comes and he says, Dad, I need $10,000 this year. Every month, I need $10,000 now. And you say, hey, What do you mean you need $10,000? I gave you $5,000 last year. What are you spending your money on? That's not important. That's not important right now. What's important is that I need you to pass this budget. I'm sorry. I need you to give me the $10,000 so I can keep going to school. And you tell them, okay, well, how much money are you spending on the dorm room? How much money are you spending on food? How much money are you spending on partying? That's not important. Just give me the 10 grand. Mike, how are you going to give him 10 grand when you just got a letter from Boston University saying that he hasn't paid for tuition in over 6 months? And that's what we're dealing with. I've been asking for line items for 4 months and they won't give it to us.
So people understand this business called Miami-Dade County government is $12.7 billion.
Right.
That is a big, big business.
Right.
I'm sure it was filled with experts from all over the world. All right.
Right.
How come it got missed? I am stunned. All right. The bad news about it, the people that I know, we are stunned, surprised, disappointed that something wasn't said before and loud enough.
And I think that what's been happening is that, unfortunately, I have the utmost respect for the mayor, but they've been hiding the buck, Mike, and the buck stops with them. They've been hiding the ball. They've been saying that they're going to do this, and then they end up doing that. I mean, a perfect example is yesterday we voted on the biggest contract that you've ever seen in Miami-Dade County. We switched the insurance for all of the employees in Miami-Dade County. They tried to do that overnight. They literally put it on the agenda and wanted us to vote on something as important as the health and well-being of all of the employees of Miami-Dade County
how
overnight.
Many employees are there?
There's about 30,000 employees or more that depend on this. And we're not even talking about 30,000 people. We're talking about them and their families, right? Yeah. And then you know what it is all employees in Miami-Dade County are a family. All of them give some. But there are some, like, for example, Officer Etchie, who gives it all. And the least we can do is make sure that they have a decent wage and that they understand that the insurance that they have is taking care of them. So I'm not here to talk about whether one insurance is better than the other. What I'm here to say is, if you're going to make a decision like that, professionally, if you're going to do it in a corporation, right, this takes a long time. So you tell the employees, you vet it.
So why is it so sudden? And by the way, I am... she is my mayor, all right?
Yeah.
And I've supported her. But this has happened in the last 2 months is stunning. That there's so much conversation, and it shouldn't be like this. It should be more positive things and figuring out how to do it. So why was it so sudden with the insurance?
I have no idea, Mike, because at the end of the day, when I had conversations with both of the insurances, I mean, both of them had positive things. Aetna has great positive things that they bring to the table. AvMed has positive things that they bring to the table. My whole thing was transparency, and I think that that's what's lacking. And I think that if the mayor was operating more transparent, she would get more wins. And so I'm trying to help her win. Mike, I want her to win. If Daniela Levine Cava does good things happen for Miami-Dade County. I want her to win. But the problem is that if you're not transparent about things, people can't trust you. And I feel like that's how people feel right now. At least that's how I respectfully feel right now.
If somebody would say, listen, we screwed it up. All right.
Right.
We should have done better. All right. We should have told you about this before. And that the people, my peers, that's what they want to hear. All right. They don't want to be like, struck in the head. And
you take ownership of it, man. You take ownership of it and you say, hey, a mistake was made. Let's fix it. And then we can fix it. Like, for example, when we first heard about the $400 million deficit, I said, what we need to do is what the mayor should do is let's do a zero-based budget. Let's do a zero-based budget. Let's make it transparent. This is how it should be. Make it transparent. Let's start from zero. Let's go with necessities, right? Police, fire, everything that is necessary in order for society to function. Once we get over those things, then we can concentrate on things that are nice to have. Does that make sense?
Yes. Let's talk about Tropical Park. We have friends who go to Tropical Park a lot. They drop off their kids or their wives or husbands. Sometimes it takes them 25, 30 minutes to get through on a busy day.
Mm-hmm.
And they're dropping off. Apparently over there, you could get a ticket if you don't pay for it pay for parking within 30 minutes. The thought of them having to pay money to get in that park and for a net result of like a $1.5 million total income.
It's ridiculous.
They are stunned. Here we have this beautiful park over there, and you're going to stop a lot of people from going, and more than that, they're going to be angry.
And Mike, look, I don't mean to put you on the spot, man, but it goes to what we were talking about, the other day when we were having a personal conversation, right? And it goes to priorities, right? And unfortunately, it's conservative priorities versus, let's put it this way, right? Look at how Governor DeSantis is running the state of Florida. The state of Florida is number one in just about everything, right? Why? Because priorities are set in place, right? Right now, you're looking at New York and you're seeing how there's this communist gentleman by the name of Mamdani that wants to run for mayor of New York. He wants to set up government grocery stores, et cetera, et cetera. He wants to do all of these things, defund the police, et cetera, et cetera. Folks are fleeing New York and coming to Florida, right? Coming to places like Miami. Right now, President Donald Trump is saying he wants to eliminate income tax. Governor Ron DeSantis is saying he wants to eliminate property tax. Daniela Levine Cava is saying let's increase the gas tax. Let's charge people to park at parks. It's about necessity. It's about concentrating on government functions, right? What is necessary? Giving the services to the residents of Miami-Dade County. What are those services? Like I said, police, fire, parks, libraries, right? Make sure that they're getting exactly what they should get. They're getting 100% of what the county should give them. Then all of those extras are extras, right? You want to give a contract so that, like, let's say, for example, you want to give a contract to some organization so that they can teach businesses how they can be climate friendly. That's not the function of government.
So let's talk about the more mild subject, that busway, BRT, bus rail, the road down to Homestead. It's going to be open pretty soon, and hopefully people will be able to move freely along there.
Right, and hopefully nobody plans on increasing their fees.
It might be coming. Big deal down south has always been jobs. Is there something that the county can do to help businesses open their shops down there and employ people?
Is there something the county can do? I think that, the county always I feel like the elected officials, right? Specifically like a mayor of a county or a city, your job is to be a cheerleader, right? Try to bring business and economic growth to your area by promoting the area, right? And these are things that don't cost money, right? But like, for example, something that does cost money that I think is very helpful and important, and the mayor's trying to get rid of it, is like the mom and pop grant, right? Mom and pop grant is something that's great because small businesses are the backbone of our community, and giving small businesses the opportunity and the ability to be able to get resources so that they can grow their business is something that I think, is great,
Speaking of promotion, the mayor of Cutler Bay and the city manager promoted that shopping mall down there to everybody.
Okay.
Come visit us. Come see what's going on. And
Which shopping mall?
The old Cutler Bridge Mall.
Oh, yes.
So it's $1.5 billion project. It's going to be a town center. All right?
Wow.
People are going to live there. There's going to be 60,000 feet of medical offices. They're going to have a lot of retail stores, a lot of food. It is going to be a big deal there. And that's one of the reasons, because when people would call the town, they would promote it. Right? And they've really done an exceptional job. My hat's off to Mayor Murbad, who's been in office 20 years, different positions.
No way.
And so this is his last term. My hat's off to him for doing a great job.
And you know what? To that point, Miami-Dade County needs more of that. They need more live, work, play in general. We're talking about the busway. In order for public transportation to work, and this is not me. I mean, this is you can look at any major metropolitan area. You need connectivity. And so the issue that we have with Miami-Dade County is that you don't have full connectivity countywide. You have places like, for example, the area that I'm in West Kendall, greatest place to live in all of Miami-Dade County, right? Best place to raise a family. A lot of single family homes. But what we don't have is you don't have enough work and play. You don't have enough jobs. You don't have enough entertainment centers, right? And so what that causes is congestion, especially with the jobs. You need to create nodes, which is what I think they're doing out there, right? Well, you got to create these nodes. Like, for example, Doral is a node where you can live, work, and play in Doral your entire life, and you never have to leave. If we want public transportation to work, we need to create these nodes and we need to think outside the box. This is why, as you know, I'm very, very, very interested in bringing space manufacturing to Miami for locals. Why? Because George T. Baker, right? Kids can go to this school, because I went to this school while they're in high school. And by the time they graduate, they're airframe and power plant mechanics. Brits program. I already have Brits, George T. Baker, and Miami-Dade College at Miami Executive Airport training kids. Our first graduating class is going to be in December. Training kids so that by the time they graduate high school, they're making $80,000 to $90,000 a year, zero student loan debt.
We've seen over the years where before you got to go to college, you got to do this. That's not the case anymore.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, and look at how AI is taking over the world, right? And the thing is that AI is not going to do your plumbing work, right? They're not going to do manufacturing, right? You can get, even if you get robots to do some manufacturing, somebody's got to be able to take care of that robot, right?
So I take a class at FIU on AI, and I'm getting more proficient in it.
Best college president in the country, by the way, Jeanette Nunez.
Yes. So when we see with AI what it is doing, I tell everybody here, you better learn this, and you better be good at it, because in your next job, if you are not at least proficient, you're not going to get hired. Just by virtue of, if you're not doing it, what's wrong with you that you're not, participating in that? There's a friend of ours, he has a air conditioning, he teaches air conditioning to get a certificate to the kids.
Let me tell you, those guys make $200 plus.
I know. It used to be I could get somebody to come to my house for $200. No. $700 for them to walk in.
Yeah.
And then say, well, plus the work.
And give you an analysis.
Yes. Okay, so you have the budget coming up. You have 2 hearings coming up. The first one is when?
First one is September 4th. The second one is September 18th. And what I would say is, folks really, really need to come out to these hearings. They really need to come out. They really need to voice their opinion, specifically on the September 4th opinion. And just yesterday, I don't know if you remember, but yesterday was Doge Day in Miami-Dade County. Yesterday, all the information that our great CFO, Blaise Ngolia, and the Doge Florida team asked for had to be given. I've heard that Miami-Dade complied, and I'm excited to see what they found.
So they have to look through all these records and figure out if there's wasteful stuff.
Absolutely. And you know what? And that goes back to my point, right? That's how you fix an issue, right? You take ownership and you say, hey, man, we might have messed up. Let's get some help and let's figure out how we can get rid of waste and get back on track.
So there's an election coming up in 3 years for the mayorship, right? 3 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
So who's in line for that?
Man, you know what? I don't know. I don't know who's going to end up running. But what I will tell you is, in my humble opinion, there's an old saying that says that you need a Carter to get a Reagan, right? And I think that whoever runs, I think the next mayor of Miami-Dade County is going to be a Republican.
I agree. Right. And I'm a Democrat, right? But it is what it is. I mean, this is where we live. I mean, we've seen our readership switch from 25 years ago, highly Democrat, and it's probably about 75% Republican.
And you know what I think it is, Mike, is I think folks are looking for the middle. And I think that I think folks just want a good place to live, and they want government to serve them. And I think that, unfortunately, there are folks like, for example, this Mamdani character, folks like AOC, there are folks that they're just concentrating on things that are not the priority of residents. And if you think about it, what is really the priority of residents? I want to live somewhere that's safe to raise my kids. I want to be able to go outside and not have to worry that I'm going to get mugged. I want to be able to pay my bills, right? I don't want to pay too much taxes because it's hard to survive right now. So I want to be able to pay my bills. I want to be able to be safe. If something happens, I want the police to show up. If there's an emergency, I want fire to be able to get there quickly, right? I want good libraries. I want the outside to look clean, my trash to get picked up. Mike, these things are not difficult. It just takes initiative. But if your priorities are pushing an ideology rather than giving those services, that's when things, don't work out.
People call us and want to know what commissioner is in charge of the schools. I said, no, it's the school board. And since you're here, a lot of the schools, or some of them, have only a tiny percentage of the capacity of the particular schools filled. A third in some cases total. What is it? Even though you're not in that position over there, but if you could push a magic button, you say such and such a school, it only has 25% capacity. What should we as a community do with that remaining part?
Well, I have good news for you, man. And the good news is that our great governor, Ron DeSantis, he just appointed Stasi to be the commissioner of education. And he's primarily focused in making sure that we remain number one in education in the United States. His main goal is to make sure that teachers salaries increase. And that parents are involved in the decision making process. And I foresee that the state of Florida is gonna push technical training specifically for high schools and even as early as elementary school, and get kids ready for the working world. Right? I think student loans kind of threw everybody off. Because I remember in the 90s, like when I was growing up, everybody said, hey, what you need to do is learn to code. And you have so many folks nowadays. My friend Christina made this point on Twitter the other day. You have a lot of folks nowadays that they got degrees in coding, but they can't find jobs, right? But yet, like you're saying, the plumbers, the mechanics, the aircraft technicians, the spacecraft technicians, these guys have jobs, and they're blue collar jobs that are necessary. And I don't know where and how in this country we lost notion of the importance of how great it is to have a job like that and be able to provide for your family. The middle class, you used to have it where one person could work, you could put your kids through college and you can survive, and you can't do that anymore.
My son goes to private school. My grandson, in 6th grade. You know what they have? We're gonna help you make a computer so you can understand
that's cool.
How this stuff.
That's so cool.
It would be the first time he's ever had an electric drill. Let me tell you. Pursuing, but I watched that, and again, both my children have masters, and they're not in that field, but they learn that. But now my grandchildren, okay, so what are they going to wind up doing?
Mm-hmm.
And we look at our staff here in production. That's Insani over here went to Miami-Dade College, all right, producing.
Love Miami-Dade. Pumariega's doing an amazing job.
Yes, she is.
She's doing an incredible job.
Number one, there's no question.
Yeah.
And you go, they don't need a college degree. They need to know how to do this.
Absolutely.
Whatever that thing happens to be.
You know what's really cool, Mike? There's a public school in Miami-Dade County that this is the way that they work, right? It's a public school, but it functions like a private school. And you have to have a certain income threshold, right? You have to be below a certain income threshold to be able to be admitted to this school, and you have to be from certain areas to be able to go to this school. When you go to this school for 3 days, you are learning math, science, etc. For 2 days, you are working. You're working at a law office. You're working at an accounting firm. You're working at some of the biggest businesses in Miami-Dade County, and you're going through an apprenticeship program. And I think that that's the key to success, because, Steve Jobs, when he was alive, he used to say the greatest moment in a man or woman's life is when they realize that the great people that they admire are no different than they are. And the reason I say that is because programs like that, mentorship programs, where you get kids into these jobs, into these fields, to see that they can achieve these things, that I can tell you as somebody that grew up, very humble, right? My mom cleaned houses. My dad worked in a warehouse. I never thought I could be an attorney because people from my neighborhood didn't become attorneys, right? And it wasn't until later in life when certain folks believed in me and I saw, certain people that were attorneys, and I was like, hey, man, I think I could do that. That I really was able to take that leap. Does that make sense? And so if schools concentrated on things like that, along with the technical training, I think that would be really cool.
When I was growing up, my father worked at a radio station, TV station. He dragged me over there.
And look at you, man.
Yeah, I know. It's like...
And Grant, too.
I know. It was just an amazing process that worked.
Incredible.
And, to sit here at a microphone and a camera and understand in the 50s and 60s, my father was doing that. And then on the radio, when I looked at it, it really is deep inside me. And we found somebody was nice enough to send us a clip, my father on TV in 1960 on Channel 7, and several other interviews that he did. And he was reporting on the riots in St. Augustine. He took me there, and I was pretty young. And I said, what did these black people in the street ever do to hurt these white people? Why are they so mad at them? 60 years later, I still ask that, right? But I recognize that we have to do what we can to make this world a better place. Because
Amen.
if we don't, there's little kids. You have kids, right?
Yes, I have 3.
Right? Pretty soon they're going to be grown up. They're going to be in those programs, right? That we must improve things. But let's talk about some of the charities that got cut out. Not by name because it's not relevant, but we work with a lot of them. And I can see the hurt that they're having.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much the private funding how many people are going to step up to do that.
Well, Mike, that's what happens when you overspend your money. It goes back to when you send your kid to college and he's just, doesn't want to show you his credit card bill because he's been popping bottles, right? If you don't manage your money correctly and you don't concentrate on necessities, eventually you spend so much money that then things that are incredibly important to this community, you can't afford anymore. And I think that's kind of where the mayor is out right now, and it's unacceptable, man.
For the qualified not-for-profits that are helping people, and the people that are getting it, they're deserving of it. If that slows down or stops, we, the taxpayers, are paying for it one way or the other. It's only a matter of for a couple of weeks where they're going to be out on the street or they're going to be unemployed. So I hope that when the time comes that you look at those places and see how you can move money around so that you can help these places that need it. And please, no parking for your tropical park.
No, absolutely. These things.
I'm going to tell my friend Roger, you heard it right here, all right?
And so, you know what, Mike, that's exactly why I went to Tallahassee and I spoke to Doge, because we need line items. We need to be able to see exactly how every penny is being spent. When we can do that, we can then craft the budget in a way that we can take care of all the necessities and the things that are the things that are important to the taxpayers of Miami-Dade County. Because here's another thing, like our CFO Blazing Golia said the other day, tax money, government money is taxpayers' money. It's our money, the taxpayers' money. It's not the government's money. It's the taxpayers' money. How is it going to benefit them? And that's how leaders should think.
Michelle, let's talk a little bit about autism and other related disorders.
Mm-hmm.
We have an autism show run by Victor Atunzo, who has an 8-year-old non-communicative daughter. He brings in people all the time that have autistic children.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, not related to that, there are 2 people getting ready to go on the show. They're unrelated to each other. As we started to talk, they each have autistic kids.
Okay.
And I look at the number, it is huge. We are becoming acutely aware of it. So I hope somewhere in there's a direction for not just for the kids who need that, but for those families that are devastated by that and their lives have shifted around. We know there's 2 commissioners on county commission that have autistic children. So it's 2 out of 13 right off the bat. The figures that we hear, depending on what's somewhere between 1 out of 7 and 1 out of 30. But it's in there.
You know what? And there's a lot of programs that exist right now. As a matter of fact, in my district, in District 11, and it's not even about money. It's about initiative. It's about caring and wanting to do something, right? In my district, there's a school. It's called Learning Links. I don't know if you've heard of it, but if you haven't, you guys should go and do a special on them. This school is ran by a former public school teacher whose job it was to work with, kids with autism and all sorts of possible learning disabilities. And what she's done with that school is kids enter in kindergarten and they go all the way to high school. After high school, they have an entire business program where they start their own businesses. And Mike, what we've been able to do is I toured the school and she was telling me how, hey, they make coffee, they make sandwiches, brownies, cookies, and they sell them to the school. I'm like, what we should do is we should get them in our public libraries. Because my wife, she takes the kids to like a Barnes and Noble all the time and she's able to have some coffee while, they read and they hang out. And, we bring them to the public libraries. We talk to the director. The director agrees. And now at our West Kendall Regional Library, right, you can go and you can get coffee from a entire coffee shop that's in our library ran by young kids that have autism. And all they needed was somebody to believe in them and give them a shot.
A couple of years ago, I know I've told you the story. Dad comes in and said, my son's autistic. He graduated from college. Do you have an internship for him? And my only experience I thought was with autistic was somebody that was severely autistic. When you talk about on the spectrum, there's a whole range.
Yeah, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
And so I felt really pushed. I said, okay, here's the deal. 3 days, 4 hours a day. That's it. At the end of the first day, we offered him a job. But it was because I went in that autistic kids mean they're severely autistic. No, there's a whole range of people that are out there. And we've seen this gentleman, he's been with us 3 years now. We've seen him grow that we can have a conversation, not quite like this, but pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And I was high-fiving him because I read his LinkedIn post. He said, just because we don't smile doesn't mean we're not happy.
Wow.
And just because we don't laugh doesn't mean we don't think it's funny. We just interpret it a little bit differently than you. And so I felt that was my segue into being able to have a conversation. I said, I don't know what's going on. You have made such a huge impact on us, and the change in him by being in a safe environment has allowed him to flourish.
That's beautiful. And I think that goes to just being a good human being, in the sense that folks just want a shot, man.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, what your religion is, or it doesn't matter whether you're autistic, diabetic, have cardiovascular. None of that matters. All you need is a shot.
Yep.
And all you need is for somebody to believe in you. Yep. And when folks give people chances, and when folks try to help people get to the next level, I think society just becomes better, bro.
I wanted to share with you, I was at my dentist the other day, and so some reason charities came up. I found out yesterday, after going to him for 15 years, that every Monday his office is closed to the public. And
Really?
that's the day he does his charity work. All Monday.
God bless him.
Full staff. I said, I've been coming here for 15 years. You never mentioned it. I'm sort of quiet about it. So there are lots of people that are doing that, and some people are very quiet about it, but the reality is when we know other people are doing it, we feel encouraged that it's okay to do that. So I encourage you, if you're making donations or you're volunteering your time, tell other people about it so they'll feel free enough to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I feel like courage and being good is contagious, right? And I think that the more people do it, the more you get, the more other folks look at that and they say, you know what, I want to do something nice. It's like, have you ever done this? Like you go to, let's say you go to Starbucks or you go to McDonald's or something, and you pay for the car behind you, and then it just creates this chain of people just, they'll have a good day, and maybe they'll pay for the person behind them, and then it's just doing good deeds for people. Or something as insignificant as smiling at somebody in the elevator, right? Holding the door for someone, right? All of these things are what makes society just better, man.
Well, in the 2 upcoming meetings, I want you to have courage and be good.
Amen, sir.
And make the changes that you hopefully will be able to get done. And remember, there are people that are accountable.
God, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here.
God bless you, brother.
Thank
you, man.
And we're going to look right over that camera, folks. Or we got that camera? All right. You're going to sign us out. Which one? This one right here. Sign us out.
This is Commissioner Roberto J. Gonzalez on the most read newspaper in all of Miami-Dade County, Community Newspapers, with my good friend Mike Miller. Folks, anything you need, district-wide or county-wide, please call our office, 305-375-5511. Remember, I am here for you.
Folks, have a great day, and thanks for joining us.